So our fearless leader, Sleepy Joe, was in Italy for the G7 summit, and once again, as far as I'm concerned, he embarrassed our country on the world stage. But the liberals, the mainstream media outlets, don't see it that way. As a matter of fact, Joe Scarborough thinks he did a great job, and he's got reasons why Biden may or may not have messed up just a little bit.
Sad. I mean, you have Joe Biden here with a schedule that would be brutal for anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Any president of any age going to Europe, a couple times on D-Day and spending 5 days in France, going over to the G7.
In the middle of the personal struggles.
In the middle of the personal struggles, the Hunter trial. And yesterday, I even critics were saying that he did a strong job, very good job representing the United States, even though, again, we have some cheap fakes that the RNC, once again, spreading vicious lies about Joe Biden. But that's who they are.
And of course, the weak Joe Scarborough makes excuses for his buddy Joe. Brutal schedule for a president of any age, Joe said. He went to D-Day, he was in France for 5 days, then he's at the G7 summit. And of course, he's got a lot of personal things going on, with his criminal son finally being convicted of something. That would make anybody tired. But even critics, according to Joe Scarborough, said Biden did a strong job. Joe Biden never did anything strong. He's lied really good. He's told amazing fairy tales about his life. But strong or successful as a politician? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, Joe went to the G7 in Italy, and there was a skydiving exhibition. Oh yes, Joe was there and he watched it. And during a skydiving exhibition, Joe decides, I'm just going to wander off and see what this guy sitting on the ground over here is going to do. And then you see all the other leaders talking, and like, somebody's got to get this guy. So the lady from Italy goes over and grabs him and tells him, Jill is not here to hold your hand, so I guess it's up to me to make sure you get around safely, because obviously you have no idea what's going on. And there he is, the man who did a strong job. He's fantastic. He knows what's going on. The skydiver was in front of him and all the other world leaders, and Joe glanced over and saw someone on the ground. He just decided to walk away. Well, the Italian woman, I don't even know her name, nor do I care, but she had to grab him by the hand because Jill wasn't there to lead him on a straight path. Okay? Someone had to take control of him before he got lost or fell and got hurt, because we've seen that before. And then, while in Italy, he met the Pope. And again, as far as I'm concerned, he not only embarrassed himself, but he embarrassed the entire United States. And I'm not sure what's going on here. Biden is resting his head on the Pope's head as the Pope's security guy looks on like, what is happening? This is the President of the United States. So what was that all about? It almost looked like, as he's talking to him, he might have fell asleep for a second. He caught himself on the Pope's forehead. Seriously, Joe? The Pope. This is the Pope. And I know you're a devout Catholic, and you were raised in the black church, and you were raised in the Jewish synagogue, and you were raised by the Latino community. I know all that because, you've told us all these fairy tales. But you rest your forehead on the Pope's forehead, and then the Pope's security guy's looking over like, what the hell is going on here? Again, this is the guy that Joe Scarborough thinks did a strong job, even though his schedule was unbelievable. Joe always does a strong job. He does a strong job of embarrassing himself, but most embarrassing is him as our president embarrassing us every time he is on a stage at a podium with a microphone in his hand. I'll say it again. Joe Biden has never done a strong job of anything. He tells great fairy tales, right? Great fairy tales. He knows how to lie, and he knows how to cover up for the misgivings of his son Hunter and other members of his family. But these liberals, the mainstream media, they're going to be out in force. They're going to keep saying Joe's fine. He's cognizant. He can run the country for another 4 years. But what we're seeing is something totally different. We're seeing an old, frail man who does not belong in the White House. He does not belong on the world stage representing the United States, because as I talked about in another video, Vladimir Putin now has a battle group, ships, submarines in Cuba, and the Americans are on it. Joe said they're watching it, but they're not concerned about it. It's just military games or military exercises. So while Joe falls asleep against the Pope's forehead, and while he wanders off to see what the man sitting on the ground after the parachute expedition was doing, and as he continues to embarrass us every time he opens his mouth, other world leaders, other world powers are watching everything he does, and they're seeing just how weak he is and just how weak he's making the United States.